Hey there, I'm Andy, and welcome to my first ever video. I'm trying to create my first commercial mobile game on my own with limited experience, as well as try and figure out how to make a YouTube channel and not terrible videos. As well as this, I'm also trying to hold down a full-time job as a full-stack software engineer, whilst also having a crippling addiction to a medieval point-and-click MMO RPG. So why am I doing this? Well, there's a few reasons. The most obvious one is, surprise surprise, I enjoy games. Don't believe me? I believe these stats speak for themselves. Like every adult who wants to spend their free time playing video games, you seem to develop a voice in the back of your head, ruining every second you're playing it. Another reason is that, like most people, to avoid poverty, starvation, and the voices in my head telling me that I'm wasting my time playing, I have a job. I'm currently a full-stack software engineer, so I have experience with coding, but I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of my job, and I would love to work on something that actually makes me happy and makes me want to work. The last reason, and this is mainly about why I've also decided to create a YouTube channel and videos, is accountability. Because I'm slightly dumb, and I'm a slow learner, I have a very short attention span. And when I hit a roadblock, it's almost impossible for me not to just give up and move on to something else. With this channel, I'm hoping that it keeps me motivated and keeps me accountable, and also hopefully lets me meet smarter people who, if they're nice enough, would give me advice on my game and the game engine that I'm going to be using itself. Speaking of game engines, the one I'm going to be using is Godot. Now, a lot of people might wonder, why not Unity or Unreal? Well, the answer is simple. Godot makes sense to me. The long answer is I tried Unity, found it hard, gave up, only to come back a couple years later, tried it again, found it just as hard, and gave up just as quickly. I didn't try Unreal, because I can barely make 2D games, let alone 3D, and I did a module in C++ at uni, and my brain almost gave up. I chose Godot because I kept hearing good things. It was open source, it was new or newer than everything else, which for me always makes something more exciting. It's very lightweight and a lot easier for me to understand and process. GD Script is a tailor-made coding language for Godot. For me, it's like a mix of Python, which was my first coding language, and a bit like TypeScript, which is built on top of JavaScript, which is the language I use for the most part in my job. So it was a perfect fit for me. There are also regular improvements and updates to the engine, which is always fun to see being added. In terms of learning, I finished a small course in Godot, so I'm not a complete beginner to it, but I feel the best way for me to test that I've actually learned anything and to keep learning is to make something myself. I do just want to say that this is the course I did. It's by Richard Albert. I would highly recommend it if you do want to pay, but of course if you don't, there are loads of great tutorials on the internet. So, for my first game, I want to create a mobile game. I know that sounds like I want to make one of those cash grab lazy games you see in ads where the player is running through gates or something, or the game or the ad is not the gameplay and instead is just a trick for you to download it. No, I want to create a fun game that I would enjoy playing and hopefully others would too. The reason I want to do a mobile game is mainly due to scope, by which I mean I don't want my first game to be my magnum opus, all of my gaming dreams, where I create the next Skyrim or Baldur's Gate, because realistically, I can't do that. But what I can do is make a small, fun game that will teach me more about Godot and game development, and if it does well and people enjoy it, that is just a great bonus. So finally, the game I want to make is going to be inspired by, surprise surprise, old school RuneScape. But obviously I'm not making a brand new version of old school RuneScape for your mobile phone. Instead, it's going to be based off a mini-game called the Hallowed Sepulchre, which I no longer need to do as 99 agility. But in this minigame, you make your way further and further into a dungeon-like obstacle course, dodging traps like fire, arrow, swords, that sort of thing. And it's all about timing and learning patterns and avoiding it to get further and further down. For my game, I had the idea that the player is a slime cube in a dungeon, and he is bored with seeing adventurers have all the fun and wants to delve further into the dungeon to get the loot. The mechanics for the game are simple. It will be a vertical grid-like screen where the player will tap to move forwards, one tile, swipe left to go left and right to go right. Using this movement, players need to navigate a level and avoid traps. The further they go, the harder and more complex the traps and the puzzles will be. I'm also thinking about adding time limits or movement caps for certain levels, or an endless mode, but I'm already getting ahead of myself. My goal now for my next video is to get the basics down, character movement, collision, all that fun stuff, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So yeah, that is the start of my game dev journey. If you're also learning game dev, or if you have made a good game and have advice, please let me know, drop me a comment. I need all the help I can get. And if you want to see whether I actually finish this or end up back in OSRS constantly playing, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.